We're here at the DAOvos event at Senad. He works full-time in Web3 for BanklessDAO. So Senad, if anyone wants to get into this world, how do you go about it? How do you start working for DAOs?
You download a wallet and you join a Web3 community. It's becoming frictionless over time. Just to give an example, once you actually manage to install a MetaMask wallet, you can now on-ramp your money using MoonPay, for example. It's way user-friendlier than using a centralized exchange and then sending everything back to your wallet. And so I think what one can do is find someone you know, because there is some person who just said something to you about crypto at some point, and you can try to figure out if this person is actually really into Web3. And when I say Web3, I try to avoid buzzwords. I think I said that. It's like this whole movement of exploring decentralized infrastructure, basically, and all these technologies. It's like, try to find that person that can help you onboard, that can help you set up a MetaMask wallet. Actually, you can also use YouTube, but I acknowledge a lot of people actually need someone to help them guide. And so if you find that person and it's not just a get-rich-quick shiller, then you will actually have lots of fun installing everything. I've been going with my younger brother through everything. It takes a few hours. That's the UI UX guy.
Right.
But then eventually, as he had everything, he was actually suited and armed and ready to join a Web3 community. And then basically what you can do is join a Web3 community of your desire. If you want to go to LionDAO, you can reach out to guys like Sven. And yeah, that's basically how I would say one can join. Equip yourself with the necessary technology and fundamental knowledge that you probably need, and you're going to evaluate it over time. Join a community and start exploring.
So do you think, the technicalities aside, I agree it's still extremely messy, right? We have a long way to go there. I think usability and user experience is the most important thing ever, on all things, actually, not just Web3.
Yep.
However, so now you get into those communities, maybe you have come over those hurdles, maybe not, maybe you just jumped into a Discord, right? Like you have like bounties flying around. The better DAOs today, many of them are micromanaged. Everything is broken down into very small tasks, which are manageable by one person. Oversight's a problem, right? Who is deciding what's a good deliverable? But do you think that's still like kind of the best way to get into it? What's the easiest way to kind of, as you're familiarizing yourself with this, also trying to see if there's a way to make a living?
Yeah, oh, that's a tough question, especially in a bear market where everyone is just closing their gates. So in BanklessDAO, we have a bounty board. So people actually discovered this problem very, very early, and we're like, hey, we need to take this freelancer model. So how I work in the DAO is like, I'm basically a freelancer. But for BanklessDAO itself, I would say we have the bounty board with tasks displayed from different projects and guilds that are putting that up, and you earn bank, which is our native token. But then you have also websites which will act as access layers of Web3 by aggregating information into also website-style bounty boards.
Like D-Work, for example.
Exactly. These are all projects which are working on taking all the tasks that you can do in different types of DAOs, displaying them, and allowing you to jump in. You can sort on what pays me the most, what pays me the least. You can sort by community. You can do whatever you want to. And so after you joined a DAO of your like, for example, I would try to complete some tasks in there. There's always something to be done. There's a rule of thumb, there's always more to be done than people to actually do it.
What do you see as the next iteration? Can we build models where we have generalized incentive structures?
There's actually a lot to unpack there, and I try to just take it from one perspective. No, this is brilliant. And it's like, how can we help this space thrive? Figuring out projects that try to make a meaningful impact that is justifiable to humanity and businesses in general, right? Figuring out what they are, what their values are, these are probably the most successful projects. And whether they have a protocol and product or service they can build around. So we've been talking about this approach, and shout out to 0x Justice, a friend of mine, who wrote a decent article, how to approach DAOs from a different perspective than just, we're a community, we're going to launch a DAO, with here you have a token, and we are tokenizing the community, and the business model is the community. It doesn't work. What's the alternative? Okay, the alternative is you actually build a protocol first DAO strategy. That's how it's called. So what this basically means is you create a service or product, a use case, a proof of concept that works, that is not just sellable to a VC. I really want to stretch that. This is important because we've left this specific decade where you can just not throw, bullshit at the wall, and people are going to invest in that. It has to be something meaningful. Yeah. And then bringing it on-chain, using the blockchain to figure out if there's a use case to bring the product and service on-chain, have this nodes and intersections, and then if it's working, building a community around it. So seeding a community, right? This basically means that, like, if you have a successful product running, and a successful business model people will want to participate in. And that's where the decentralization part comes in. And that's when you decentralize. That's when you like build around things that work and let people get excited, let people contribute, make a living, and let it thrive together. Because if the people do better, the project or the protocol will do better because they got the fundamentals right.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I like IoT projects, for example, which can be so much empowered by these token mechanisms, right? So there's a product which I would have bought anyway, and they are on top of that putting an incentive model for me to earn their native token, whatever. And by putting that incentive model into their product, which they had already, they were a weather data company to begin with, and now they are looking into this new technology and how can they use decentralization to augment their product to make it better, right? I think that's kind of the key. Fundamentals of startups haven't changed. I think we need to remember that, so I like that you highlight that.
And we have to work with engineers, because these are the minds that will work and walk us through implications, because tokenomics is a complex thing. You cannot just mint and copy-paste a basic, protocol and build your community around it. It's not possible. It's like you have to adjust the tokenomics and work with engineers to adapt your business model to the incentive structure that you built around the community and the token that you perhaps will use, which represents part of ownership or part of exposure, I like to call it, rather than ownership, exposure to a certain company or certain movement. And it's like, if these use cases are being currently built, I love to see that. It's not just get rich quick, it's really something meaningful. We won't get it right. This is for sure. Like, we will end up in the media again. We will be like the worst people on earth, which is okay.
I think those are good closing words. I like focusing on utility. We call them utility tokens after all, right? Let's build something of true value, and the business model will come after that, right? Like, if you have something that customers want to buy, you find a way to monetize.
Let's build something people actually would want to own or have exposure to, because that's the utility.
That's it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Senad.
Thank you, Sven. Appreciate it.
Great talking to you.